All right, so I've mentioned this idea of the standard library a few times now. And you will often hear within the Python ecosystem that Python is distributed with batteries included, right? And what this means is that within Python, when we use Python, we have access to all kinds of capabilities. And we talked about that, how there's lots of times where people will write their own functionality and they package it up and they host it up on PyPI or Anaconda, and we can access that functionality. Well, Python actually comes with a lot of built-in functionality as well. So you have core Python, right? And that's everything that just think of like the source code that makes the underlying like Python just work, right? But now there's a whole bunch of functionality that comes with Python that allows us to do things. We can do just common mathematical operations. There's functionality to work with text. There's functionality to work with the operating system. We saw that over here in my notebook. I imported the OS library and I used that to just get my current working directory, or I can do many other things with that, right? Now, a lot of these like fundamental functionalities or capabilities are so important that Python has bundled these up, and they include these libraries that do these very critical tasks with Python. So that means when you install Python, you installed a bunch of these libraries that Python just considers foundational to working with data within Python, right? And we call that the standard library, right? So the way to think about this is we install Python and we get a whole bunch of functionality that comes with it. That's the standard library. For functionality that does not exist in the standard library, we tend to go out and access these through PyPI and Anaconda, and those are called third-party libraries. All right, so the standard library is actually very large. There is a lot of functionality provided. Here is a few examples where we have the OS and the sys module. These are two different modules, and they just allow us to interface with the operating system on our computers. We have the math module. This provides a lot of mathematical functions and operations to work on data. We have a module called itertools. This provides a way of constructing and interacting with different what we call iterators and generators. We haven't really talked about those much, but it's just a way of doing a lot of iteration tasks easily within Python. We have random. This is a module that allows us to generate various kinds of random numbers, right? And there's a whole bunch of them. And actually, if we were to go to this website here, we could just kind of peruse down and see all the different types of functionality that we get built into Python through the standard library, right? So there's all these different modules that you'll see here for all these different purposes, such as data persistence, data compression and archiving, file formats, networking and inter-process communication, all kinds of functionality. And these are all modules that come with Python, right? This is part of what we call the standard library. In the knowledge check for this section, you saw the question, what module and what function allows us to generate a random integer, right? And if you would have looked throughout this location, you would have found that, let's just do a quick check, random, right? I would have found under numeric and mathematical modules, we have numbers, math, we have decimal fractions, and we have this random one, okay? Within random does all kinds of stuff, and we want random integers, right? And this probably would have brought you to the rand int, right? So what we could do now, if we wanted to generate a random integer, is we could say from random, I just want to import that function rand int, Okay, do that. And now I have access to that. And I could say I want to generate a random integer from 0 to 10. And I get 5. If I run this again, I get 4, right? Because I'm doing a random process. Do it again, and I get 3.